Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Oh, yes.
How are you?
I'm good, I think.
What is there concern of?
Well, just a little discombobulated. I stepped off a flight from Germany about 2 hours ago.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us.
Uh-huh.
This is our 200th episode. Very special indeed. I was trying to figure out what to do. Don't get too excited. There's nothing special happening. But I did go back and listen to our first episode and our 100th episode.
Uh-huh.
Our first episode, we talked about a few things. I rambled on quite a bit, but mainly we talked about film festivals.
Yeah.
So I figure it'd be a good start for you to talk about Berlin. As usual, we'll make a video of your best and worst from the festival. But is there anything else you want to talk about? Like anything interesting or something that you wouldn't talk about in the best and worst of?
Well, everybody was also on edge in Berlin because as I flew out, they were having having elections, and there was concern about the far right party, which I believe did not win.
Oh, so people were
the conservative Christian Democratic Party or whatever they're called. I think they were the front runner, but they're not the feared fascists that were going on. But so that was in the air a lot, and I think I noticed that many of the people I talked to, it seemed like people have been struggling. Is the impression I got. It felt like a lot of instability for people, but that I randomly spoke to. But otherwise, it was the first edition of the 75th, and they have a new head of the festival. Trisha Tuttle took over. So I have to say, I think the selection overall was pretty good.
That's good
for the competition. Like it was pretty solid competition. There weren't a lot of, because often there are like some extreme lows
as far as film selection.
Yes.
And this year you didn't feel that way.
No, I was happy with almost, everything. But
how many films did you watch?
Oh, I haven't even tabulated that yet.
Oh,
because I probably watched 15 to 20 screeners ahead of time, and I was watching 3 to 4 a day most days. So yeah, it gets to be a lot after 10 days or more of doing that.
Well, I guess we'll move on. Today we contributed to the 4th annual Rubber Duckies. There's a YouTube channel called the Cinema Squad. And so they do an award show where they send out like a ballot and people can vote. It's for TV and film. And we presented the award for Best Actress in a Film. The nominees were Demi Moore for The Substance, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, Mikey Madison for Nora, and that lady from Strange Darling.
What's her name? Willa Fitzgerald?
Yes, Yale graduate, Willa Fitzgerald.
Clown-wigged Yale graduate.
I'm not going to say who won, so I don't want to spoil it. If people are interested, I'll put a link in the description of this podcast episode. And then it is a long ceremony. We pop up at the 3-hour, 20-minute
Oh my
mark.
God.
That's the same time, because last year we presented Best Picture. I think this year the ceremony is a little longer because we're not the last person presenting. We're second to last. But yeah, 3-hour, 20-minute mark if a person wants to fast forward to that. But I appreciate all the work they put into it, and it's fun hearing them talk about all the selections. So there's that. Moving on, just a random thing I saw that I think was kind of funny. You know who Matthew Lawrence is?
Yes.
Joey Lawrence's brother.
Yes.
He and his 2 brothers have a podcast. And recently, Matthew Lawrence said that he was reported once on set by Gabrielle Union.
Reported.
So, of course, I had to read about it.
What does that mean?
Well, so the headline says Matthew Lawrence claims he was reported on set by Gabrielle Union. In 1999, Matthew and Gabrielle appeared in a comedy film about an apprentice devil plotting to steal the soul of the star. It aired on The Wonderful World of Disney on NBC. I'm sorry, ABC. But the name of the movie, first of all, made me laugh. Now, for some reason, my computer's acting crazy. The film is called HE Double Hockey Sticks.
Oh my God.
So just from the fact that it was on The Wonderful World of Disney on ABC and it's called HE Double Hockey Sticks, I feel like I can't take it seriously.
Oh, hell no.
But so then, of course, I read about it because I'm thinking, Matthew Lawrence, I think earlier last year said that in light of like the Me Too movement and more focus on like men being harassed, he said that earlier on in his career, there were a lot of predatory male who wanted him basically to be sexual with them, and that was something he had to deal with.
Isn't he with Chili?
Oh, he was dating her. I wonder if they're still together. I know they were being very religious together. So
yeah. And she was on that, what was that stupid cruise show with Lil Kim?
With Lil Kim and Maya.
And Chili's just like, I don't drink. I don't smoke. Like, why are you on there?
Why would you go on a reality show about 3 ladies going on vacation in the Bahamas and the other 2 are Lil Kim? Maya, Maya's a vegan, clean living, whatever. But Maya, she had more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Chili was just like, I just got to pray up and I got to stay in the cabin and
just, yeah.
I got to take care of my hair. I can't press it. I mean, I don't know. She just seems so, she clearly probably needed a job because her and T-Boss stay on tour. But anyway, so I was thinking, he's going to say that maybe he like sexually harassed Gabrielle Union. But then when I read the article and what he said, basically she had approached him, and this film was back in 1999. She had approached him and said, hey, because they have a scene together, could we run our lines? And he told her, no, I don't work like that. I like to run the lines the first time on set so it stays fresh. And so she reported him saying that he doesn't want to run his lines. From what he said, I don't know if that's customary. Like,
well, she's not in charge, so why?
Well, then I'm thinking, Gabrielle Union seems like a difficult person. And for anyone who wants to clap back at me for that, she has admitted that she was a mean girl and a bitch in that roundtable interview she did with Oprah, that she was a nightmare back in those days. So I can't really, because I'm not in the industry, or I'm certainly not an actor. I don't know if it seems like that'd be quite normal to run a scene with your acting partner.
Yeah, but some people, again, don't like to rehearse, technically.
But I can also appreciate that. But I can't imagine anything in a Disney movie called HE Double Hockey Sticks needed to like come from the heart.
Well, now see, like, if, for my perspective, would be like, yeah, calm down. Let's run. Like, why can't you run your lines, sir?
I need help. But anyway,
reported to who?
Moving on to a more dynamic duo. So, Don Lemon.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Guy Pearce and Kevin Spacey, but.
Oh, why? What?
There was all that hubbub while I was gone.
What? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, because Guy Pearce said that he felt Kevin Spacey had, what was it?
Propositioned him?
He felt frightened by him.
Oh.
It's certain words like that. And like broke down in tears. And then Kevin Spacey clapped back online with a video saying, Guy Pearce, you're not a victim, get over it. And did you forget that after we filmed LA Confidential, you would come visit me to spend time with me on the set of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil?
Oh, well, I don't know anything about that, but that sounds juicy. No, Don Lemon, now that he's on CNN, he has his YouTube channel and he does, I think it's a daily during the week, like a live broadcast where he just talks about like hot topics and like news events, but also gossipy stuff. Yesterday he had Amanda Seales on. I think it was yesterday. It was recently. He had her on. And boy, what
was she still bitching about Issa Rae? Is that what I heard about that?
She has. She's still complaining about Shannon Sharp. But here's the thing. I don't care for Don Lemon. He seems very fake to me. And his version of, I mean, I guess a person could say he's code switching, but I just hate whenever he it's very obvious whenever he feels like he needs to sort of make it clear that he's black or gay or both. And this sort of way he does so just grinds my gears. But I'm not going to go on about why I don't like Don Lemon. But Amanda Seales, watching her, it's so frustrating because I think she is so smart.
She is.
Well, she would say intelligent.
Yeah.
And actually, she had her, how like when they show like Nicholas Bell, film critic on the thing, her said Amanda Seales, artistic intellectual.
No.
And then her explaining it was so like just obnoxious. And then I think she realized that she's doing too much. And she goes, well, there have been a lot of artistics, like I'm not the only one. It's like, bitch, don't nobody think that whatever you think you are, you're the only one. But it's such a shame because she makes so much sense so often and like is so intelligent and well versed. And then she's a comedian, and I like her comedic voice, like her comedic tone. But man, like just every time she opens her mouth, she just straight out the gate just came on hot. Like,
yeah, that's her though.
That people don't like me, and it's like you're coming across like someone who I'm a fan of yours. Like that one comedy special that she did, we really enjoyed that. And I thought she was fun on what was it? The Talk? Or no? Which one was she on? She was on one of those daytime talk shows that they eventually got rid of her ass. But it's like, yeah, you're interesting. And then she had been very vocal about Don Lemon, basically saying he's whitewashed and blah, blah, blah. And he addressed that with her very early on and said, like being part of corporate news, like I can't really be myself, but now that I can, people are clearly seeing. But just, I didn't even try to write down all the things that bothered me because it was an hour, 20-minute long interview. And I think I could talk for like 4 hours about it. But just so many things that, especially he says, are just like, he's like, I don't want to name drop, but I was with Patti LaBelle. And she told me that, well, I was at her concert and she requested to see me. And, she told me that people are scared of me. People are scared of what I'm going to say. And I'm like, I don't think in this climate anyone's afraid of your gay black ass.
Of Don Lemon?
A Don Lemon?
Patti LaBelle told him that people are...
The entire thing that he said about this just felt like, I mean, what you're saying right now is laughable. And Patti LaBelle is in her 80s, right?
Yeah.
And she just turned 80. Like, but he's like, yeah, people are scared of me. And I wonder, Amanda, I mean, why do you think people are scared of you? I mean, we're very similar. It's
no.
Like, but she makes so much sense so often, but it's just her approach. And I think,
yeah, she's very defensive.
Some people are labeled defensive and angry, particularly Black women, unrightfully so or unfairly so. But I think in this instance, like Amanda Seales just comes across as like kind of like she wants to start a fight.
Yeah, and some people that doesn't really mix with, but I think if others were able to take a step back and like be like, okay, let her realize that this is a safe space.
But in her instance, it's unfortunate because I think she does make so much sense. And then because she is a comedian, the way, I just think she could be so powerful if she could take all those brains and all those good points she has and make it funny and palatable for people so they'll receive it. I feel like people don't receive what she's saying because she's like, they're put off by her. Even in the comments of the live video, people didn't like they had a problem with her. And it's like, man, that's too bad because she does have a lot of insight and she is educated. So I just thought it was interesting. And then pairing her with Don Lemon is like, ugh. But yeah, she immediately was like, well, Shannon Sharp attacked me and that he told me this and that. And that, they cut, she did say something that I didn't know is that, and maybe she had said this in some other interview, but I don't follow her that closely. Because the other reason I stopped following her so closely and I stopped following her period on social media is like not unlike how I stopped following Lady Bunny. It's like everything is so negative. Everything is like, it's just not like, that's not what this platform is supposed to be for me. I'm here to like be educated and entertained, not like feel like I'm constantly witnessing a fight. But yeah, I wish that I I hope she can find a way to have her voice heard by more people and not have the narrative always. Because the other thing too is like, I don't know that I think she's a victim if everyone has a problem with her. You know, like it seems like everything she does, there's a problem. So then it's like, well, the common denominator is you. Oh, what I was gonna say is she said Shannon Sharp told her, and that he cut it out from the Club Shay Shay interview, is that he told her, well, it seems like anyone who doesn't agree with you, you call them racist.
Oh.
And then she responded, but that whole segment didn't air. But anyway, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't even remember. But yeah, I think that she might have to. There might be a reinvention of Amanda Seales eventually.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, lastly in this little section, are you familiar? Well, I know you are because Sigourney Weaver's done it. There's this guy named Cole Walliser who, he's that guy on the red carpet with the long curly hair who does those like slow motion capture videos that went viral.
Yeah, because she looked in the wrong place.
Yes. Well, okay, so I want to talk about that because I was recently watching him do it with there's this new singer who performed at the Grammys and everyone was all excited because he's like this hot guy who was wearing these tight clothes and he does backflips and he's like super ripped. And I listened to some of those songs. They weren't for me. And yes, he has a nice body. The face, he could be anybody at the store.
What's this person's name?
Oh, I know you've seen, I don't even know, but like Ben Boom or okay, Grammys. He's the guy who wore like that Harry Styles type outfit and then he grabbed his crotch at the end.
Oh, I didn't watch
that. Do you know
that.
what I'm talking about?
No.
Guy with pantsuit. I know people are screaming at this right now. Benson Boom.
Boone.
Oh, I'm sorry, Benson Boone. I listened to a couple songs. They're not bad. They're just not for me. And like, I think the fact that he looks like this probably, if he looked like I was going to say
this 22-year-old with his mustache.
Yeah,
this is who people are going crazy over.
Well, I mean, I think from the neck down, like that seems what everyone gets excited about, and he's always performing shirtless. The point is, well, I was gonna say if he looked like who's that one Irish kid who's super popular with the red hair, who's not
Ed
very
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. I was gonna say if he looked like Ed Sheeran, he wouldn't be that popular, but then Ed Sheeran's very popular. So anyway, the point is, I saw the video of that Cole Walliser doing the slow motion camera with Benson Boone. And Benson Boone was being like, it seemed like Cole Walliser really liked him because sometimes he's quite cold to people. Because I was watching other videos and he seems very disinterested, but with Benson, he was very excited to like work with him. But the point I wanted to make, and then related to Sigourney's, is I was listening to him explain the process and I don't understand anything he's saying. And I don't know if it's because everyone that he's doing this with are like professional actors who are used to being filmed and they know cameras and angles. But if it were me and he said, oh, stand here, and the way he's talking about like the camera, and it's also like, I don't think this is a common thing people do. But he's talking about it like everyone knows what I do, so just do it. The point of me even bringing this up is I wonder if other people find him annoying. That's...
I'm sure they do.
That was the point of this bullshit ass rant, is that I just watching him and then thinking about how people were making fun of Sigourney for a second because hers was kind of messed up. As I was watching him do several people, because people were also making fun, I think, of Anya Taylor-Joy's. It's like, yeah, I watched that and I didn't understand what he was saying. He's just like, yeah, do this, blah, blah, it'll be fine. Let's go. Blah. What? Where do I stand? How fast do I turn?
Oh, yeah. No, I would have a problem with things like that. Yeah.
But moving on to better things. 5 on the black hand side. 5 black filmmakers who are not Tyler Perry. Who's first on your list?
An obvious one that has not made the list yet, but Mr. Barry Jenkins, who you are familiar with.
Yes.
Because of?
Tell me. I don't.
Ooh,
Don't set me up.
Moonlight.
Don't set me up like this, because every YouTube video, what is the first thing I say after you announce the movie? What do I know from this director? I don't remember anyone.
Well, okay, the best picture winning Moonlight, but of course I'd showed you Medicine for Melancholy years ago, and I don't think you've seen If Beale Street Could Talk, which Regina King won her Oscar for, which you should, based on the James Baldwin novel, which is excellent. Also, the Underground Railroad series, which I have yet to watch, but yeah, obviously a big deal.
Next.
Rada Blank.
Know her.
Yeah.
She's upset at me.
Yeah.
I need to publicly apologize. In a video, I referred to an unsavory character as reminding me of her. And I feel terrible because I was told that she commented that she heard me say that and that it upset her. And I feel more stupid because I said her, but that's not who I was thinking of. And now I don't want to say, and I didn't say who I really thought, because now I think, oh, I'm going to offend two people, not one. But I am familiar with who this is. She directed and starred in the film The 40-Year-Old Version.
Yes, which I think was both on our top 10 lists.
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Do we know if she's working on anything else?
I don't know, actually.
Because yeah, that was a very impressive movie. Next,
Ama Asante, who I first became aware of. I think it was her second film, but Belle, Belle, starring Gugu Mbatha-Raw, which is a great performance from her. She also went on to do A United Kingdom with David Oyelowo and Rosamund Pike, and Where Hands Touch, which I might be one of the only kind of positive reviews out there for that movie, but because that got read for filth out of Toronto. But that stars George McKay. But I remember liking it. Anyway, she's worked in television for the past couple of years. I think she did some Handmaid's Tale. But I think I saw that she's adapting Smilla's Sense of Snow as a TV series. And I'm a friend of that corny ass Julia Ormond version from '97. But anyway, Ama Asante.
Next.
Cord Jefferson, who his directorial debut, we both were big fans of, American Fiction.
Yes. Very
so
impressive.
I'm assuming we'll get more things from him soon.
I would hope so. Last but not least,
Raoul Peck, who is a Haitian, but this Five on the Black Hand side, we're running into POC here. It's fine.
Multinational.
Yeah. There's been some other African filmmakers we've already had on these lists. But Lumumba is probably his biggest fiction narrative feature, which is about Lumumba. But
Patrice O'Neill. I got to say it every time.
Not Patrice O'Neill. He works a lot more in documentary. He did a film about Karl Marx that I remember not loving. But Silver Dollar Road a couple years ago was really worth watching. We were supposed to review Ernest Cole Lost and Found this past year, but we didn't. But a big one for him also was I Am Not Your Negro, with James Baldwin as the subject. So,
moving on to the restaurant section, did you have any memorable meals in Berlin?
Well, I ate a lot at this place, the food court, the nice food court in the mall. It's called Manifesto, and there are all these foods from all over. It's very international. The place the one dish that I had like 3 or maybe 4 times that I liked a lot was this pasta dish with one of those big fat things of burrata that melts as you eat. Oh my God. And the noodles were like chewy and big. Oh yeah, it was good. I actually like that better than their pizza offerings. But I had that a couple times. There's this one of these Asian noodle places that had these spicy mustard green and pork noodles that were really good. So I had both of those things a couple times. But I also had one of the most disgusting things I've ever tried. But I felt like I couldn't resist. It was at the Tim Tam Burger place in the food court. And they were offering a lobster burger.
We already told the story about how you got a lobster roll that you were so disappointed in.
Because that wasn't
again.
No, because that wasn't real lobster or wasn't enough. This was like the picture. You see a big fat tentacle that's like coiled around on the bun.
Lobsters have tentacles?
Or sorry, what did I say? Octopus burger. I'm tired.
Oh, you said lobster burger. I'm like, what kind of, that's your first problem is your lobster had a tentacle.
No, it was a lobster. God damn it, an octopus burger. The picture was this big ass tentacle on a
That
bun.
sounds even worse than what I thought you were going to tell me about.
So the price was slashed. It was supposed to be 35
Oh,
euro.
discount seafood in Germany? Is Germany even near water? Let me look at a map. What's going on over here?
No,
Let me see.
35 euro. Not in Berlin, but they were selling it for 20.
Oh my goodness. Not discounts.
Probably because who wants to pay 30? You want to pay 35
Who
euro?
wants an octopus burger?
But do you want to pay 35 euro for that?
And I know your dumbass didn't take a picture of it to share.
No.
What is this place called? Tim Tam?
Tim Tam. It's the burger.
Like that Australian cookie?
No, it's like something similar. But
Tim Tam Berlin.
look up Manifesto Berlin burger.
Manifesto.
Anyway.
Tim Tam's. Okay, that's not right. Manifesto Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
But continue. Talk about this.
Oh my God, I couldn't finish it, and I don't. That shit was the chewiest, slimiest. I don't know that it was fully cooked. Even I was very unhappy with it.
It's so embarrassing. Like if people recognize you and think that like I'm married to you, that like you were ordering that thing.
What?
What? Discount octopus burger?
It was on
in
sale.
Berlin. That's what discount means.
Yeah, but it wasn't because it was old.
And when I think of octopus, the first thing I think of is chewy.
Well, I like calamari. I mean,
okay. Can you describe, since you didn't take a picture, can you describe?
Well, I was mad.
All the more reason to put them on blast. Can you please
describe
like what kind of bun, what kind of sauce? Is there pickles and onions? How do you dress an octopus burger?
There was tomatoes, some kind of creamy sauce, and I believe the burger or the bun was grilled. They had a piece of the tentacle toothpicked to the top, and then there was more tentacle tissue.
Okay, I see a picture of it. It looks like there's like mozzarella or
there was some kind of cheesy white
dry wet cheese. White dry wet.
White dry wet cheese. Yep.
Now looking at this picture, which is I'm assuming what you saw. Can you imagine if you tried to order this and I would have been there?
Well, that's exactly why, because I never would have had the opportunity.
But you know, thankfully you were satisfied.
No, I wasn't. But
exactly.
Well, because I doubt I would have paid 35 euro, but 20.
It's grilled octopus, buffalo mozzarella aioli sauce on what looks like a toasted brioche type bun, and yeah, there's a tentacle on top of the burger,
mm-hmm.
So it looks like like Godzilla, something from Godzilla. Ugh.
That I had to spit that right out. My
Did
Lord.
It come with fries?
No.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I would have had to pay extra.
Oh, and then, wow, we've talked about this restaurant before, but the one by our house, that Mexican restaurant, which the name of I cannot figure out. Doesn't it have like 6 different names?
Yeah, because I think it's changed ownership though.
And then today when I went, the food's very good, and they have some of the best flan I think either of us have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to shout them out, but I don't understand. And then today when I go in to get food, she's like, "Can you pay with cash?" And I said, "No." She goes, "Well, you can Zelle me." And then I'm like, "Okay." And then she has this printout of the QR code, and it just says to Irma. I'm like, well, we're hungry, so I guess Irma's getting my $43.
Irma. Well, it used to be Veracruz something.
Yeah, and then it was like PV something, and then today when I sent the Zelle, I'm like, well, what do I put in the note? And then I was like, what's the name of this restaurant? And then she points at a sign, and then it said like Tamales Veracruz. So I don't know the name, but highly recommend. But the reason I thought of them is their French fries, which you didn't even try today, are very good.
Okay.
Is there anything else on your food list?
No, I don't think so.
So a listener messaged me the other day and reminded me that Wendy's now has their thin mint frosties
Mm-hmm.
inspired by the Girl Scout cookie. So I'm like, well, let me go over there because there's one that I drive past not infrequently because it's kind of near my Starbucks or when I go to our PO box. But so I stopped and I got this thin mint frosty, and I was so confused because I only know Wendy's to have. I don't go to Wendy's often anymore, but I thought they only had vanilla and chocolate, right? Frosties. So then the guy goes, okay, well, do you want vanilla or chocolate? And I'm like, oh, well, I want the thin mint frosty. Do you have those? Yes. And then he said it again because then I ordered something else, which I'll get to. And then he's like, okay, but I want the thin mint. He goes, yeah, but you can get it vanilla or chocolate. So then I got confused and I just said chocolate.
Uh-huh.
And then I ordered, they now have saucy nuggets.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Wingstop, like they have garlic parmesan and like all those flavors.
Oh, so it's already like doused in liquid?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually think you would like them because if you like McDonald's chicken McNuggets and you like sauce, I feel like you would like these. And so my concern was, are these going to be the quality of like Wendy's chicken McNuggets just covered in a sauce? And maybe I don't eat Wendy's chicken nuggets enough to know the difference. These tasted like they were of a better quality than what I remember. And they weren't that expensive for 6 little pieces doused in this. I got the garlic parmesan. They were pretty tasty. I mean, obviously the presentation is not very appetizing.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, the little frosty, it was kind of expensive. It was very tiny. And basically all it is you either pick a chocolate or a vanilla. And then they have this thin mint like sauce that's kind of gritty. It almost tastes like if you took thin mint cookies, put them in the blender, and then poured a bunch of Hershey syrup in the blender. So it tasted exactly like a thin mint cookie, and it was kind of like gritty, which I didn't mind. I thought that sauce was delicious. Like if you could just buy that sauce and put it on your own favorite vanilla, extra vanilla bean ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be really good.
Double
But
vanilla?
double vanilla, that's it. But yeah, it was like $4 for that little bitty thing, which I guess is good. It's a deterrent. Moving on. Unfortunately, there are a couple of entries in the obituary section. I don't know how I didn't know this. You had to tell me that Valletta Wallace died.
Yeah.
She is Christopher Wallace's mom. Christopher Wallace is also the Notorious B.I.G. And of course, after her son was shot and killed, she became much more public in talking about violence. And, before her son died, she kind of, because she's an educated woman, she was a teacher. She kind of, she loved her son. And he clearly loved her, but she kind of criticized his lyrics because he painted this narrative of himself as like growing up, like hard knock life. And she's like, I didn't raise my child like that. So I always liked her energy. And then of course when tragedy stuck, and then to have the strength to get out there and like talk about these things. And I remember there was some award show. It might have been like a BET Awards where she and Tupac's mom came out on stage together. And I think it was Will Smith who introduced them, which was, I recall being a very cool moment. But yeah, I had no idea she had died. So that's unfortunate. She was only 72 years old.
Yeah. And of course, portrayed by Angela Bassett in Notorious.
Oh, I forgot about that. And then a very busy character actor, Peter Jason,
Yeah.
died. Yeah.
He was
80 years old.
I always think of him because Carpenter liked using him a lot. And he's also in 48 Hours. But he, in the movie Village of the Damned, the Carpenter remake is when I see his face, I always think of that movie. But yeah, he's got like 9 projects in the can.
Yeah, his IMDb credits are extensive.
Wow.
So I hope I'm assuming he enjoyed working. So that's nice to know. that he was busy. All right, the secret film this week was my choice. And of course, for the 200th episode, I wanted to choose something with some substance. So then I thought, what did we do for our 100th episode? We did The Godfather. So for the 200th episode, the choice was clear. I chose The Godfather Part II, the 1974 epic crime sequel to The Godfather, and a film that many people consider to be better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
I I'd probably give him the same score. I think as a viewing experience, I think I maybe enjoyed the first one better. But I mean, I think I would probably, I don't recall what I gave The Godfather, but I'm thinking I'm giving them the same. But what is this film about? The early life and career of Vito Corleone in 1920s New York City is portrayed while his son Michael expands and tightens his grip on the family crime syndicate. What is your relationship to this film?
I haven't seen it since I was a teenager. When I remember I got all three on the 2-tape VHS copies, and we watched them like over Christmas vacation.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But yeah, I haven't seen them since then. But my dad was a big fan, and I remember really liking the first two.
So I had never seen The Godfather until we watched it for the 100th episode. So of course I hadn't seen this until yesterday. But I my overall impression is that it's excellent, very well done. Um, Probably what I'm most impressed with is this feels like such a perfect sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really only one other example of a sequel that I think is like at this level, which would be Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that it was made shortly after the original, the way the story complements the original, it I mean, it just really works so well. But and so the reason I'm saying that is because The Godfather Part 2 is like a prequel and a sequel to the
Mm-hmm.
first one.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like mirrors the first one in reverse, because in the first one we see sort of the downfall of Vito Corleone, who's the Godfather portrayed by Marlon Brando.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the rise of his son Michael as like the head of the family, portrayed by Al Pacino. And in this film, we see kind of the reverse. We see the rise of Vito Corleone, but in this film, portrayed by Robert De Niro. And then I guess you could say the downfall of Michael, who's still portrayed by Al Pacino. That being said, this feels like two separate movies that they spliced together. It is very long. There's an intermission.
Yes.
And you know how I feel about long ass movies.
Well, that was a tradition, though, that was more notable then.
It makes it feel I mean, when it's well done and good story like this is, then you know it feels epic and grand and a saga. And so I'm not mad. My biggest gripe, which I'll get to, is sort of keeping the story like keeping it all together, right? Because for a movie this long, and we'll get to it, towards the end when some characters pop back up, it's like, oh, I forgot about her. Like, I forgot. Wait, who is that? And what are they doing? That's, for my memory and the way my brain works, films like this with this kind of runtime and so many characters and intertwining things, it's a little difficult for me, but I know people eat the shit up.
Mm-hmm.
But probably I would just start with, I'm just going to separate these two stories. So we can start with Vito. So what's Vito's story? Vito grew up in Sicily, and his dad was killed by some guy affiliated with the local mob boss for doing something petty. And then that mob boss said, well, you need to kill that man's, like his sons, because if you don't, they're going to grow up and try to kill me. So Vito's dad gets killed, and then Vito's older brother gets killed. So we see Vito's mom drag his ass to that mob boss and say, please don't kill my other son. Like, he's a sweet boy. He would never hurt you. You can't take away my other son. And this mob boss goes, sorry, nope. Because I know when he gets older, he's going to try to kill me. So the mom pulls a stunt by pulling a knife on that mob boss to distract him so her son can get away. So little 9-year-old Vito is able to escape the mob boss's compound, but the mom gets killed. We see little Vito like go into the neighborhood people kind of protect him, and they get his ass on a boat to Ellis Island. And when he gets to Ellis Island, he's there by himself, and the people at the island, like the immigration people, they have to give him a name. And the area that he's from, because his real last name is Andolini,
Mm-hmm.
but the area in Sicily he's from is called Corleone. So the
Mm-hmm.
immigration person says, well, your last name now is Corleone. So that's where that name comes from. So then we flash forward like 20 years maybe, and now we see Robert De Niro. And he's living in New York. He's married with a little kid, and he's just doing his thing. He works at like a deli or something. And one day while he's working, just trying to make an honest living, the neighborhood, like, he's not a mob boss, but he works for the mob boss. He's like the heavy, like he goes around collecting people's he basically makes all the businesses pay for protection.
Fanucci,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert De Niro witnesses this, and then he loses his job as a result because the owner of the deli says, the owner of the deli was very kind to Robert De Niro. But he's like, well, you know how it is. Like, they're telling me I got to fire you because I need to hire like his son. And Robert De Niro says, you've been so good to me. And he says this several times throughout the film, like I'm not going to forget, which comes back to play at the end of his story, that he is not going to forget. But he sees what this guy's doing. And then Robert De Niro, as Vito Corleone, he starts getting into some shady stuff. He and two other guys start selling stolen shit.
Clemenza, played by Bruno Kirby.
What do I know him?
City Slickers.
Oh. But then that damn Fanucci comes back and he's like, I heard that you're making money off of like, because they're like stealing dresses and selling them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, anyone making dirty money on our block, they need to give us a cut. So Robert De Niro tells his two buddies, like, listen, I'm going to take care of this. Give me a little bit of money. I'm going to just give it to him and tell him, like, we're going to work this out. And what does Vito do? He goes and kills that man, Fanucci.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the story is kind of understood. It's not really spelled out. But we see that clearly the neighborhood understands that Robert De Niro is responsible for killing this extortionist.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's like very well liked in the neighborhood. And then he started this like, because he needs a front for his illegal activities. So he started this like olive oil importing business. So we see that he's doing real well in the neighborhood. And then in the end, we see that for Vito's story up until like 1922, now that he's like, like Vito Corleone and he's making money, he and his family go back to their neighborhood in Sicily because they're going to start a business there. And Robert De Niro pays a visit to that mob guy who killed his dad, mom, and brother.
Don Ciccio.
And Robert De Niro smooth walks up to this man. I thought it was so funny because now this man is old as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't even hear. He's like, I'm deaf. And Robert De Niro gets in his ear and basically says, like, I am Vito Andolini. And I forget his final word, but he guts that man like a fish.
Yeah, it's violent.
I was like, oh my God. And that's the end of Vito's story. And then, of course, we know from The Godfather that he becomes
Marlon Brando.
Okay, so Michael Corleone, that's Al Pacino's character. I wanted to say Robert De Niro is very handsome.
Yeah.
And so is Al Pacino.
Yeah. So, and De Niro won his first of 2 Oscars for this film.
I tried to look up his acceptance speech, and I saw that he wasn't in attendance at that Academy Awards. Francis Ford Coppola had to accept his award. What did he win his second Oscar for?
Raging Bull.
Oh, which I need to watch.
Yeah, we'll talk more about its Oscar nods after.
Oh, okay. Well then, okay, but Michael's story is a little more involved because we know from the last film that he was given head of the family spot after his dad, Marlon Brando, died. And so in the opening,
his oldest brother, Sonny, played by James Caan, was shot down.
And then he has his brother, Fredo, who's very important to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this film, now Al Pacino's doing his thing, and then he wants to expand his interest in Las Vegas by taking ownership of a couple of casinos. And so he takes a meeting with a Nevada senator. And that man's like, I hate you effing Italian, like you greasy, some derogatory term. And like I hate that you come here and try to take over my state, my city. So if you want this property, you have to pay me out the ass. Like 10 times what the liquor license costs or the gaming license. And you have to pay me like 5% of your profit for all your businesses, which is just insane. And Al Pacino says, I'm not paying you shit. In fact, you're going to pay me. So you already know it's going to be like a problem. But that's the bulk of the movie, is that it's like Al Pacino trying to figure out how to take control of these properties in Vegas. And he thinks he can do it by working with this person whose name they say a million times, Hyman Roth.
And Hyman Roth is played by Lee Strasberg.
The Lee Strasberg? From that acting studio down the street?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, that's him.
That's him?
Mm-hmm. Whose children became actors. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I
didn't know that.
He was also Oscar nominated for this.
Well, Hyman Roth is a Jewish mob boss, and it seems like there's contention because one of Marlon Brando's old buddies, who's also part of the Corleone network, whose name I have a really hard time saying,
Pentangeli,
and
I think he's quite good in this. Michael V. Gazzo.
He is.
Yeah,
he's really against Al Pacino working with Hyman Roth.
Mm-hmm.
And Al Pacino's like, well, my dad worked with him. He's like, yeah, your dad worked with him, but he didn't trust his ass. And now here you go putting all your eggs in this basket. So there's contention there. But early on in Michael's story, there's an assassination attempt against him. So now Al Pacino's very concerned about who tried to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that it's Hyman Roth, or maybe it's say that name again? Pentangeli. So there's a lot of back and forth between like who it could be. But ultimately we find out that Fredo sold his brother out.
Mm-hmm.
Fredo's mad because he's the older brother and he didn't get a chance to run the business because they thought he wasn't competent.
Well, they think he's weak because he is.
He's weak because he is.
Yeah.
He's not cute.
Oh, John Cazale, he died very young. He was dating Meryl Streep.
Is he? I feel like I recognized him.
Oh yeah, we've seen. Well,
Is he in that other movie with who's the guy in the movie with Al Pacino?
Dog Day Afternoon.
That's him.
Yes,
I knew him from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And Deer Hunter, which you haven't seen yet, which is excellent.
Fredo's crazy ass was like, I ratted you out because I thought maybe Hyman Roth would give me a player position since you won't. But I regret it. But everything culminates in Michael's story with him, of course, figuring out like how this all occurred. But also, there's a judiciary committee like investigating Michael,
mm-hmm.
Al Pacino, to basically convict him as like a mob boss. And so I'll save my concerns for the end, but it's during this that we learn that
Pentangeli
and his like main security guard get hemmed up by the feds and agree to testify against Al Pacino. And during this hearing, they're telling Al Pacino like, tomorrow when we get these witnesses in here to tell on you, it's curtains, ho. Like,
and that the guy you're talking about is played by Joe Spinell.
What do I know him from?
Maniac,
Yes.
but
Oh,
also
the one where he's driving the truck in Australia.
no, that's Stacy Keach.
Oh, I'm thinking of Stacy Keach.
But Rocky, he's the one that's Rocky is working for.
Oh, the really nice guy who
Mm-hmm.
gives him money. Yeah. Oh, okay. I did recognize
Yeah,
him.
but I think we did a review of the Maniac 4K Blu-ray.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, he's a good screen presence.
So that guy, what's his name again?
Joe Spinell. Will Chi-Chi is
Chi-Chi. That's his name. Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi gets up there and sings like a bird. But in the end, his testimony is not that valuable because he's like, but yeah, I never actually met the guy. Like everybody knows that he's like the Don or whatever, but like I never actually met him or talked to him, so you can't trust shit I say. So then they're like, okay, we have an even better witness who's coming, and that's Pentangeli. And this is a part that confused me. We can get to it in a second, but Al Pacino brings in Pentangeli's brother, who was also affiliated with Marlon Brando.
Mm-hmm.
And when Pentangeli sees his brother in the courtroom, he decides to act right. And he tells these people, I know that I signed an affidavit saying that, like, I've worked with Michael Al Pacino and I know that he is a mob boss, but I was lying. I was fully lying. I just said it because that's what I thought the feds wanted. So, of course, that creates chaos because,
Mm-hmm.
and then that Nevada senator is part of the hearing, and you can tell he's scared. So he gets up and gives this speech about how he loves Italian people.
Oh yeah, Italian Americans are wonderful humans.
They're an integral part of the fabric of this great nation and my state of Nevada. Because now he's scared.
Well, we have to talk about why he changed his tune as well.
Well, yes, but in the end, oh yeah, that's a good point. Why the senator decided to act right too. But in the end, there are a lot of details I'm not including, but in the end, we see that now that Al seems to have gotten off the hook, he says he wants to kill his enemies. So Hyman Roth's ass had tried to flee, like seek asylum in Israel.
Well, there are two botched attempts. There's a botched attempt against Pentangeli and Hyman Roth.
Yeah, I didn't include those details, but yeah. So Al Pacino says, like, we need to kill Hyman Roth. So they kill his ass in the airport while he's being interviewed on camera.
Yep.
Because I thought that was actually really good because who is Al Pacino's right-hand man in this film? He's the one who kind of looks like, Robert Duvall.
Yeah, the adopted brother.
The adopted brother.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Duvall tells Al Pacino in the end, like, you can't kill Hyman Roth. Like, now that he's known for this and that, and like, it'd be like trying to kill the president.
Mm-hmm.
And Al Pacino says, if there's one thing I know, everyone can be killed. Mm-hmm. And so they get some poor sucker to literally walk up to this man and shoot and kill him. And then, of course, the police kill this guy. So now Hyman Roth is dead. Then, of course, because Pentangeli was a part of all this, Al Pacino gives Pentangeli a deal, which is basically that, I forget how they refer to it, but basically like to provide him with some chance, they say, we'll let you kill yourself. And if you do that, we'll spare your family.
Well, because that's what the Romans used to do.
So we see that Pentangeli like kills himself. He commits suicide in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. And then Fredo, and I think it's a really good scene when Al Pacino realizes his brother ratted him out, which we can get to. But Al Pacino tells his people, don't kill, after he learns that Fredo sold his ass out, he says, don't you kill him while my mom is alive, because that'll break her heart. But then we see that the mom dies. And so, of course, the entire family's at the funeral, including Fredo. And we see Al Pacino like motion to one of his henchmen. So clearly, like, go kill Fredo. And then we see that Fredo gets killed on a boat.
Don't you like how Mama Corleone is barely registers as a presence?
Yeah. And then we get a flashback to before Al Pacino's character became the boss while his dad was still alive. And we get a scene when where he's with his brothers, including James Caan and James Caan. And we see him saying, like, I'm going to go join the military. Mm-hmm. And they're mad. Like, dad wanted you to be a part of the family business. So I thought that was kind of an interesting flashback, because after watching the two films and realizing everything that he ended up doing.
Well, it's also interesting because, well, one that is happening on December 7th, 1941.
Oh, after
That's the day of Pearl Harbor.
yes.
And also the man that James Caan brings into and insists that his sister talk to him and only him is the man that she married that was abusing her.
Talia Shire's
Yeah,
character. That's right.
in the first film.
Yep.
And
Well, we didn't talk about her character still, because she's trying to get with another man in this movie.
no, but if you remember from the first one where James Caan was so protective of her, it seemed like
Yeah.
he was always going and beating on that man, and there was if you remember all the drama surrounding that, and then this sets it up as in she's with that man that was abusing her because of her brother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, that's a good point. And then the final shot of the film is we see Al Pacino in old man makeup, just sitting and thinking about his life. So assuming that he lived to be older, and then I'm assuming never went to prison for anything.
Yep. And we haven't brought up Diane Keaton once.
Well, I have a note about her. Well, I had mentioned this earlier about these long ass movies, is that these characters, like some of these supporting characters, when the movie's so long, it's like when they pop back up, it's like, oh, I forgot about her. So specifically Diane Keaton and Talia Shire, I feel like because they kind of are in the beginning and like bookended, it felt a little jarring when their moments come back.
Talia Shire also got an Oscar nod for this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I agree.
She doesn't do anything.
Except be annoying.
She shows up annoying at that, because the opening of the film is not unlike the first one. Because the first one, I think that, because I re-listened to our podcast for The Godfather, and I recall saying how much I enjoyed the opening of The Godfather with the wedding. Like, it's such a perfect scenario to not only set up this web of characters, but also like how people revere the Godfather. So in this film, they do something similar, but it's not as effective. They're at like a kid's birthday party. I think it's one of Al Pacino's son's birthday parties. And is it Pentangeli who's there drunk?
Yes.
Showing his ass. I thought that was annoying. I just don't think that the opening of The Godfather Part II compares to the first one. But we see Talia's ass show up and
with her new man.
No one likes him. She goes to her mom like, I want to talk to Michael. And she's like, you gonna wait your turn, bitch. And
well, she's like, you haven't talked to your kids. Go talk to your kids.
Yeah, go talk to your kids first. My goodness. But yeah, she doesn't really pop back up until after Fredo gets banished.
But then at that same party in the beginning, he's dancing with Diane Keaton Kay, and he's like, I'm sorry, it couldn't be avoided. I had to talk to all these people today. And how's the baby? Because she's pregnant. And she's like, resting inside me.
She's unrecognizable to me in this film. I didn't realize it was her till the very end.
Really?
Yeah. But when I first saw her, I didn't know it was her. But I felt the same way in the first one. Like, I wouldn't have known that was her, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, we see Talia Shire pop up again when because she doesn't have any money. She has to rely on Al Pacino. And Al Pacino's like, bitch, you are not marrying that man. This is what we're going to do. You can come live, because she goes back begging for money. And he says, I'll do this. You can come live on my compound, be with the family, be with your damn kids. And if you do that and leave that man alone, I'll give you anything you want. And then that's when she begs Al Pacino, like, please, ever since you stopped talking to Fredo, like, you're all he has. Can you please, please, please? And Al Pacino kind of agrees, and then he reconciles with Fredo. But that's at the funeral where immediately he tells his henchmen to kill him. So, but anyway, I'm just going to go through a couple of notes. The fact that Robert De Niro's character, well, Vito, he's the fact that he says like I'm not gonna forget. But in the beginning, it's like, he's gonna come back and kill that man.
Of course, yes.
And that was very satisfying. I actually like I think I enjoyed the Vito storyline more.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have mind, like, this could have been broken up into two movies to me. where we expounded more on the Vito character. Because I kind of would have, like, I think Robert De Niro, who did, like, I think he's very effective in this movie. I would have loved more with him in the neighborhood and how he kind of built his business, because we don't really see any of that. It's just kind of understood that
Sure.
people respected him. And I remember from The Godfather that Marlon Brando's sort of approach was to be like a person of integrity and like kindness, kind of.
Yes.
So you definitely see that in Robert De Niro's portrayal of this character, like the way it's written, that he's like, he's about his business, but he's also like not trying to do people crazy.
Yeah, he's fair.
Like I mean, as fair as someone who kills people and steals is, but yeah, I kind of really liked this aspect of the movie and wish there was more of it. When we meet little Vito at Ellis Island, when that nurse goes, "Oh, he has smallpox." Well, the doctor says he has smallpox, and then the nurse has to translate it in Italian. My first thought is, how contagious is smallpox? Because they just
yeah, they're just like, yeah, he's got it.
No one's wearing any PPE. I don't know what. And then they immediately like shuttle him with a bunch of other people to go stand somewhere before they quarantine him. Oh God, the Nevada senator, because we meet him at that kid's birthday party.
G.D. Spradlin, yeah, he's a creep.
He's a creep, but at first he's acting all nice, but then when he goes in there and says like, basically, "I hate you Italians coming here taking all our shit," you know immediately he's gonna get done up too.
Yeah.
And the way that they get his character to turn a new leaf at the hearing is that they basically set him up, because he, you know, of course he's cheating on his wife. They have him in a hotel with a prostitute who they kill, and then basically set it up like he did it.
Yeah.
So, but then they tell him, "Well, we can make this all go away if you work with us."
But he's like, "I don't remember what happened. I was tickling her."
Ugh, what a creep.
Right.
When I did think Al, he was cute.
Yeah.
He was real cute. But him, like his looks, if there's one thing Al Pacino's good for, it's like shouting. Like if he's not good for anything else, it's getting loud and shouting. But I thought the look he gives his sister when she's talking about she wants to marry that man, like, well, guess what's not going to happen? Then we see Fredo with his wife at one point, this extremely beautiful woman, this white woman.
Did you recognize her?
No.
Mariana Hill? She's been in a movie we've watched many times.
What is that?
The Baby.
The pretty blonde?
Yeah. Well, her hair looks crazy in The Baby.
It does. Yeah, it's like Wild Child.
She looks like The Howling.
I did not recognize her.
Yeah, that's her. She's out of control.
But she's out of control in this movie because she's basically saying like, y'all ain't shit. And
well, she embarrasses him in public.
And one of Al Pacino's men goes up to Fredo and says, "Your brother says if you can't control her, I have to do it." And Fredo goes, "You can do it." And then he goes back to his brother, Al Pacino. And he's just embarrassed. And Al Pacino's looking at him like, "You ain't shit."
He's like, "I can't control her." And then later, I think he says, "I should have married a woman like you."
Like Kay.
Like Kay.
Like, okay.
Boring Kay.
Oh, God. Seeing Al's house get shot up, I was so scared because we had already learned that Kay's pregnant. And for a minute, he says, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "No." And I thought she had been hit. But she wasn't.
Well, right away when she's like, "Why are the drapes open?" I'm like, ooh.
Okay, so there are two main reasons I don't think this is a perfect film. The first one, well, there are two reasons why I wouldn't give this 5 out of 5. The first one is the section of the film in Cuba. All that Cuba footage outside was real raggedy. Like, you could just tell that they had like tried to block the street, but everyone on the street was like staring into the camera. You could tell that it wasn't like they had a hard time probably setting up these shots, and that the people were not, like, these extras were not trained extras. They were just all standing, staring at everything going by. And then you could see in like in the background of a lot of shots that people were just gathered like looky-loos. And I just thought for something so epic and grand, that just really took me out. But there's much more of the story in Cuba that I do think is very well done. The New Year's Eve party, the meeting where the Cuban politician talks about how the phone company gave him a gold phone, and all of that works really well. But yeah, all the exterior shots of Cuba, I just think didn't match the quality. And again, I'm sure that maybe they just had a hard time trying to shoot in Cuba and getting extras that they could have used who know what they're doing. But it did take away from it a little bit. Okay. So how does Al Pacino figure out that Fredo is up to no good? So the reason they're even in Cuba is because Hyman Roth is like, if we're going to do this Nevada business, I need you to join me on some business so I know you're legit. So why don't you meet me in Cuba and we're going to do this deal? You need to bring $2 million in cash because they want to get in on some infrastructure that they feel like is going to explode. So Fredo's in charge of bringing the money, and then he's kind of delayed, and then Al Pacino's having second thoughts about Hyman Roth, and then Al Pacino asked Fredo about another character. I think his name was like Alano or some guy. Oh, Johnny Ola.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's talking about Johnny Ola, and Fredo's like, I don't know who that is. And then when he sees him at a party, or like they're at some kind of show, Fredo pretends like he doesn't know Johnny Ola. He goes, oh, hey, nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because Al Pacino is trying to make his brother feel like he's useful, he goes, hey, I want you to entertain some of these guys. So Fredo takes them to the equivalent of like a donkey show.
Mm-hmm.
Like some Cuban guy with like an abnormally large penis has sex with women on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like some freaky stuff. And someone asks Fredo, like, how in the hell did you learn about this? And he goes, oh, Johnny Ola told me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Al Pacino's face like, okay.
Hit the brakes. Johnny Ola is played by Dominic Chianese, who's better known as Junior Soprano from The Sopranos.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
I thought that was a good moment.
Yeah, that was good.
And then at the New Year's Eve party, kind of all hell breaks loose because at the stroke of midnight, when everyone's kissing, first off, the Cuban politician they're all there with, he announces that he's like resigning and like effective now. So then everyone like runs out the building almost like they feel like they don't, because there's also like a coup forming.
Well, this is Batista. The Batista's Cuba, so this is right before Castro throws everything over.
Right. So there's kind of chaos because we already see that there are like people kind of overthrowing the military. So like all these fancy people at this party don't feel safe.
Well, Pacino's Michael's delaying giving the money he needs to give to Hyman Roth because he's kind of concerned about the rebel presence.
That's what the word I was trying to find, rebel. Yeah, he can sense that like something is not quite right. But then also at the stroke of midnight, he kisses Fredo and says like, I know it was you.
And you broke my heart.
And you broke my heart. And then as he's leaving, Fredo, like it's kind of chaotic, and Al Pacino's saying, get in the car, I'm gonna take you wherever.
Miami.
And Fredo's scared, like, no. And
he's like, you're still my brother.
And then we see once Al Pacino gets back home that Fredo is like missing. Excuse me. Okay, Diane Keaton. So like you mentioned, she was pregnant. But when Al Pacino gets back, because after the assassination attempt, Al Pacino kind of goes into hiding and tells Robert Duvall that he can run the business and figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so when Al Pacino finally comes back after he realizes who's responsible, and then there's that failed attempt at Hyman Roth's life, and then the failed attempt on Pentangeli's life. When Al Pacino gets back home and he's talking to Robert Duvall's like, oh, I have to tell you, Diane Keaton, had a miscarriage. And of course, Al Pacino's devastated. He wants to know if it was a boy. Robert Duvall doesn't know. But then we find out, because Kay, at a point, goes to leave Al Pacino. Because he had told her earlier, like,
the Corleones are going to be legitimate.
A legitimate business. And
She's like, it's been 7 years.
You said it'd take 5 years. It's been 7 years. And then when she tries to leave him, he's like, I just need more time. And she's like, no. And that's when he tells her, bitch, do you know who I am? You are not taking my kids from me. But then she gets real bold.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him, I didn't have a miscarriage. I had an abortion because it was a boy. And I want this family to like this ends here. That's pretty cold.
It's cold, yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't kill her.
Well, that was the scene. That's the scene emblazoned in my mind as a kid, was him slapping her.
Oh, well, I wanted to look up, like, did he really hit her? Because it looks like he slapped the shit out of Diane Keaton. But I can't believe that she was still alive after that. After she told him that she aborted his son, who they were having a hard time with, who would have been the heir to his dynasty.
Well, but then, she becomes excommunicado after that.
Oh, is that from John Wick?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I don't remember John Wick. Okay. We get a flashback to, because, Robert De Niro is Fredo's dad, which is so weird to think. Like, what did the mama look like?
We see her.
I know, but it's like, did he have, like, your mama must have been a jackal. I don't know. But anyway, we see that little Fredo, just to reinforce the fact that he's like the runt. We see that he had health problems like pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
And that damn witch doctor and that, what was she doing? She burned like a piece of tissue paper on the baby's chest and put a cup over it. But I know people do cupping because I see a lot of people at the gym, like their backs are just covered in. So I don't know what benefits there are. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny that they're showing that Fredo was kind of sickly. Oh, gosh. The scene where Robert De Niro, that extortionist guy in his neighborhood, the scene where he shoots and kills that man, I thought that was very good. Like the build up to it and then him getting rid of the weapon. And yeah, do you know who else was nominated that year? I know there was another person from this movie, like you said.
Well, so De Niro won Best Supporting Actor, and two of the other people in that category were also nominated from this film, which included Lee Strasberg and Michael Vigazzo. Who I think were both fun. And then Talia Shire was nominated, and Al Pacino, who did not win, of course.
So there's the intermission, and then when we get back from the intermission, that's the judiciary hearing. But I thought Mr. what's his name, Chi-Chi, testifying, it just I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna kill him. We also learn about, we get a really cute scene with Robert De Niro, like when he first started running the area. He's trying to advocate for this older lady who can't pay her rent. I thought that was a really good scene because, again, it's portrayed like he's not a monster, even though he is like a criminal. Did you already say this? Was Al Pacino nominated?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I thought he was very good. I think my favorite moment of his, well, I think when Diane Keaton confronts him.
Yeah, that's a good moment.
But also him on trial and him answering the questions, I thought was really good. And then when he confronts his brother after the first day of questioning, and Fredo gets mad because Al Pacino says, I've always taken care of you. And Fredo says, taking care of me? You're my kid brother and you take care of me? Like, how do you think that makes me feel? I did kind of feel bad for Fredo.
Yeah,
but he's not a dunce, but clearly he's
useless.
Like, I thought the main senator in that judiciary hearing was annoying. He's not a bumbling idiot, but he's kind of like, we have a sworn affidavit. We have it. I'm going to see that we get to the bottom of this.
The guy with the glasses?
Yes. I thought that was funny. But another weakness to the story to me was, I think that hearing, for this movie being so long, I think we need a little bit more to the hearing. Specifically, like, I mean, it just all felt so small. Like, I don't know. I just felt like the hearing needed to be a little more grand, and I was really thrown off by Al Pacino bringing in Pentangeli's brother. Like, what was the?
Well, because it like shamed him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just it all felt very like abrupt that was happening.
What?
I was thinking that when Kay told Al that she was going to leave with the kids, she should have just killed him.
Yeah.
Because she's never going to get to leave without him.
Well, then of course she has to sneak in to see the kids.
I only have like 2 more notes. So when Al basically takes the kids from Diane Keaton, and then it's Talia Shire who sort of organizes, like, well, you can come visit the kids if I'm there. So she brings her, but then she kind of like stays a little too long, and Al Pacino shows up, and he just like closed the door on her. that felt very cold. Like, damn.
Yeah, looking dead behind the eyes. I forgot to mention that Merle, the man she's trying to marry in the beginning, Talia Shire, is Troy Donahue.
What do I know him from?
Well, I feel like he was a teen idol in like the 50s, but you know a very famous song from Greece that has him in the lyrics.
You said it like I know Troy Donahue.
Well,
that is the very obscure.
Well, he's in.
I don't know who this is.
Yes, you do. We talked about him recently for Crybaby.
Oh,
he plays Hatchet's dad.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he was a big deal at one point.
My last note is Robert Duvall in this movie is holding on to 6 strands of hair on the top of his head that I think is so funny because they're like fully styled and shellacked down with.
I always feel bad for Tom because he's Ursat's brother to them that they kind of treat like that all the time.
Adopted.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think this is, like one of the greats, especially thinking about Godfather and Godfather Part II as like a whole. It's really impressive. And the cast and
well, yeah, I mean that score by what's his name, Nino Rota. I think the cinematography is really great from Gordon Willis, and I don't know. I think it's you don't really see anything that's at this scope at this level anymore. And also, we didn't mention this one Best Picture, obviously. And it was the first sequel to win Best Picture, and it's only one of 2 that's ever done so.
What's the other one?
The Peter Jackson's Return of the King.
A Lord of the Rings movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. What would you give The Godfather Part 2?
I gave it the same as I gave the first Godfather, I believe, 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's excellent.
Well, excellent is 4 out of 5. I would give this film 4 out of 5. For the reasons I mentioned before, just a couple story things, and then it just does feel it just feels long. Like it does feel like 2 movies slapped together.
It's a gangland epic.
Okay, well, we tried our best considering that it's late at night. You've been traveling. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Next week, I know we're seeing. Well, we have a review for my dead friend Zoe.
Yes.
And then we're seeing something called Misericordia. And I don't know what else is happening, but
I think Cold Wallet might be something we're reviewing.
Oh. Are you reading anything?
I read a couple things. I read Mickey 7. I read Hot Milk because I reviewed the film out of Berlin. And now I'm reading... oh God, I'm blanking on the title. By Clarice Lispector, The Apple. It's her epic.
This is a book.
The Apple in the Dark. Sorry.
Oh. All right. Anything else?
No.
Ta-ta.